if we found an entrepreneur that might like to build a dock and a paddle boat to go up and down the river scenic trips. So I went back to the drawing board, found a good spot for it, it worked, and it's been a very, very popular activity without preserving the visual integrity of the site.
Yeah. Thanks, Ted, for bringing the Wirth legacy back to us in Minneapolis and giving us more parks. I tried this weekend, the Worthwhile Weekend, to have you see parks in every district in the city. This wonderful legacy that Ted has left us in Boom Island Park is in the district of Commissioner Walt Dietzick. And Walt came along tonight, and I asked him to tell us a little bit about the development of the river, because I think Boom Island Park was the first piece of the upper river. And ever since 1883, even before that, the park board felt that public access to riverfront property was an important thing to achieve. And they're moving hard at it all the time. Boom Island Park, and now our headquarters are on the river. If Cleveland or Wirth knew, they would think this is a good thing. Walt?
Joan, thank you very much. I wish to congratulate all the Wirth people. The Worthwhile Weekend, I think, exceeded everybody's expectations. I think the Wirths, I think Joan Bethune and her husband, all the people in the Legacy Society should take a nice ball, because you did a great job. I guess I didn't get the instructions from Joan soon enough, so what I wrote, I talked about what Ted Wirth changed and how those changes are still with us. And you know, some of them include the landscape of Minneapolis, the roads, the Grand Round, the parks, what we do in the parks, the lakes, how we use our lakes. But you know what he did? And it's nice to see so many youngsters here today, and it's nice to see that the sculptures at Wirth Golf Course have children, because he changed the way we treat kids. And if you look back, kids were like on the back of the bus, and he said, go ahead, you can play in the parks, you can run on the grass, you can slide down the hills, you can picnic in the park, play ball. He made kids, children, number one, and I think that's the legacy that he leaves behind. More than anything else, and more than all the architects and everything else, he leaves that we now respect our kids more than ever. Those of you who took bus tours around, you saw in our parkways, that's some of our finest housing in Minneapolis. It's along the parkways. Houses that are there, people who own those houses, when they sell them, they get big money because they're on a parkway, and we treat our parkways as really. You know, we also in the park board are doing some changing. You know, we're changing sports. We went from a winter where we used to flood 65 ice rinks. We're down to 29, but the population of Minneapolis is changing, and we're trying to change with it. We're going to try to put more soccer fields in and just put in more trails. People today recreate a little different than they did back then, and even boating. You know, the park board's got to get into docking and those kinds of things with our boats. And as my wife said, I better keep it short, so I'll just conclude with saying whether we know it or not, the park board affects our lives every single day, and most of the time, I say most of the time, it's for the good. Thank you very much. I hope to see you again here in Minneapolis.
But anyway, it's wonderful to be out here tonight with all of you. And I appreciate the invitation, and this is a meaningful way for me to spend Father's Day with my family, because my father and I spent many a time traveling up and down this wonderful river. Walt did a wonderful job of talking about the history of Theodore Wirth I can only say that when people think of this city, one of the things that distinguishes this great city is our park system. And Theodore Wirth had a vision, and that vision was no matter where you lived in the city, no matter how little money you had or your family had, you deserve to have an access to a park, to a place where you could play, and if you're a child, you could play with your friends. At any and all ages, you could enjoy our beautiful civic life. And it's really a testament to our democracy and our civic life that lives on still today. One of the things that's humbling about having an opportunity to be involved in public life is to look at what has gone before you and those that have committed their lives to making this city a great place. And I think it's humbling to all of us to look back at our generations and those that came before us and to look at their contributions. I've had a chance only to meet a couple of you. I had a great conversation with Ted before a moment ago. But it is really humbling to see the history, to know the commitment of those that came before us, and to have that commitment be one of the things that makes sure that we continue to live up to the vision and ideals of Theodore Wirth, to continue to make this city that's all about parks, yes, but also all about kids, all about a beautiful environment and a place for people to play and to have a great life together and enjoy the beauty of our city. So again, I want to congratulate Joan as well. Our children, I want to make sure I mention before I end my comments, my two children are here, have enjoyed our parks. And so we personally participate in our park system in a very real way as they play soccer 3-4 times a week on our city parks. So we personally have benefited from this great park system that is a legacy of Mr. Wirth. I also want to acknowledge...
And your season pass holder is at the new water park.
That's right, and we have a season pass at the new water park. Thank you, Walt, and everyone on the park board. We've already used it 5 times, I believe. Emily, is that right? And it just opened. So these are the kinds of things that we come together to play and to be together and enjoy. I acknowledge one of my colleagues who has a tremendous passion for the river and the parks, Councilmember Zimmerman, who's with us today. Let's give Dean a round of applause. No one's more committed to the parks than Dean. So again, it's wonderful. On behalf of a grateful city, the city of Minneapolis, I want to thank the entire Wirth family for what you represent for our great city. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your visit here.
Thank you, Paul. Walter Schmidt has asked if he could say a few words, and for some of you who don't know who Walter is, he's one of the Swiss Wirths.
So, just a few words. I won't be very long. My English is also quite poor. But anyhow, I would like to thank you very much that this small Swiss group could be with you. You know that Wirth was a Swiss, and so we represent the root of his coming over here. Another thing I wanted to tell you, you have a small picture on your flag here, and the man on the left is my father, and my sister is over there, Ursula, our father, which was visiting America in '35. You ask why we are still quite young. He married only with 47, that's why we are not older. He was born in '95, and he was teaching at the agriculture school, and many of our people, his students, went to the States to find a working place, because it was a very difficult time in Europe in the 20s and 30s of this century. So in '35, he asked in Switzerland at the agriculture school for 3 months leave to go and see his students and also to go to see his uncle Theodore. And he was spending in Minneapolis 2 weeks, looking around, flying even around, coming with the Zephyr from Chicago, like it was written in his things in his book. He also made a film that time, which I brought to Joan. We digitalized this film last week to bring it over on a CD, and it shows also some parts with Theodore during that time, which he might be able to use. Anyway, I want to stop here now. Thank you very much that we could be with you, and especially thanks to Joan, which did so much work with all her volunteers. I already gave to some people a small present of a chocolate. This is a bigger one, on the same, a little bit a bigger size, which I would like to present to Joan. You know Swiss chocolate is favorite, don't forget it.
Swiss chocolate, huh? I thank you very much, Walter, and I wanted to say that a very interesting little thing happened when Ursula and Walter decided, and Stefan decided to come. We chose this picture to use for the Worthwhile Weekend. You've probably seen it all over, you know, every little piece of material you've gotten. And we didn't really know who the third person was. We recognized Theodore, and we recognized his wife, and we of course know it's in front of his home, and we loved the car, so we picked it because it also showed in all of his son's photo albums. We figured it was a family piece. We enlarged it and colored it and used it in all our advertising and promotional material for the Worthwhile Weekend. It was I called different Wirths and I said, do you have any idea who that is? It shows up in everybody's album. Well, when we got the email from Ursula that she was coming, I asked Bill Wirth, who is that? Who is Ursula? And he explained to me that he had met her, was it in Europe?
Yes.
And when he met her, he met her father, who was an older Swiss German who didn't speak English very well, and showed a little picture of him in front of Theodore's house. So I asked him if he could ask Ursula, and sure enough, it's Ursula's father on this visit that Walter's telling us about in 1935. So we're able to identify the other person in the picture finally. I just thought it was a funny coincidence. So now I do have one more person that would like to say a few words, and that is John Richter.
When I talked at the dedication, I mentioned I had a cane in my hand because I fell down about 2 months ago. So I'm hoping that within 2 weeks I will not have this. But you might like to know